Hello, hello, hello. So let me ask you something. Like, how is your healthcare experience? How is it now? Like, I had someone come in to me the other day and say it is hard out here in these healthcare streets because they were frustrated. Some other people are telling me that they feel like they are rushed and the visits are short and the wait time is long. Like, all of these different things. And so there's a lot of frustration with it. A lot of people walking away, their answers are not being, their questions are not being answered, all that kind of stuff. Well, the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way, right? It really does not. You can have unrushed, personalized visits. And I'm not just making this up and like fantasizing this thing. It's because I do it and there are a lot of other doctors who are doing it because we're like, it has to be simpler, because if it's frustrating for you, know that it is frustrating for us. So today we're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about how you can have access to these unrushed things so that way you can have personalized care. You can be well taken care of, because at the end of the day, you want to be well. And as I always tell you guys, you only have one body. So we want to treat that body right, right? So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. Go ahead and tell the people that we're talking about it. Subscribe if you have not already. Share it and let them know, hey, she's going to tell you something today. And be sure to follow. But I am Dr. Ashley Booth. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I'm also the owner of Healing Beyond the Stethoscope Primary Care. And I provide practical health tips and tools that you can use in your everyday life. Because what I know is that your life, all of this, having these long, drawn out wait times and all this kind of craziness, that affects your health. You're stressed out and it's going to do all the things. And we don't need that and we don't want that. So we are going to make some changes with it today. But like I said, I've had several people who have been frustrated. Like, raise your hand, drop it in the chat. Yes, or no, I have a great experience. Or if you like, yeah, it can be a little confusing, a little crazy. Like, even myself, I tell you, I'm a doctor, but I'm also a patient at times. And there's some moments where I've been frustrated, if it's with the pharmacy, if it's with my doctor's office, if it is the hospital system, whatever. There are some changes to be made because it is broken, right? But we don't have to experience that all the time. We don't have to be rushed. We don't have to feel like, oh, I better hurry up and say it, or I still didn't get my questions answered, and so I guess I'll just deal with it and it'll still continue to hurt. No, we do not have to do that. It doesn't have to be expensive. Surprise bills. I know a lot of people who have surprise bills. I've had one myself too. And it's because you're like, oh, I thought it was covered, or I thought it was covered better than this, or whatever. And so you want to, and there are people that I know who are saying, you know what, I don't go to the doctor. I have insurance, but I'm still not going. And I'm like, okay, why? And they're concerned because they're thinking, okay, well, if I go, then my premiums and stuff are going to go up. I was like, but you have the insurance to help you when you're sick. And they're like, oh, I just figure out if it gets too bad, then I'll go. And I'm like, that's not the way we want to be able to start thinking about this. But cost is a big factor. And I'm like, there has to be another way. And I'm going to talk about that way. But how do we get here in the first place, right? Like, why is this system like this? Somebody had asked me this. And I started asking myself, like, why are we having this kind of system and what can we do about it? Well, one of the reasons, and I know one of the big things that you guys are thinking about, and I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. And one of them is you think it's us. You're like, it's the doctors. Y'all are the reason why these prices are that high, because y'all get paid all this money and y'all getting paid all this money because of us. And if y'all weren't so greedy, then our premiums and all this stuff wouldn't be like that, right? I know that's what you think. And I've had somebody who was brave enough to tell me that. But I'm gonna let you know this. 99% of the time, your doctor has nothing to do with the cost of it, right? Because this is the reason why. The majority of doctors now are not privately owned. There are maybe like 5 or 10% of offices that are privately owned. And those doctors have somewhat of a say in how things will be charged, because they then negotiate with insurance companies and they set a rate and they say, okay, this is how much we will accept for certain procedures. But all the rest of those doctors are employees. And I've talked to you guys about that before. Doctors are employees. I know we don't want to see them like that, but the majority of them are. And they're working for a system. So that system doesn't even necessarily give them a direct cut. The majority of those systems don't give them a direct cut. What they will do is this super huge, complicated calculation called RVUs, which you guys don't even care about, but they calculate it that way and say, if you see this type of patient and it's this level and blah, 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 then we will multiply it and do all these things. And this is how you get it. So it's not like this costs $200 and we're going to give the doctor 50 or we're going to give the doctor 100. That's not how it works. So for the most part, we're not really a part of that problem. Like, I know you probably don't want to hear that. You probably don't believe it, but I'm telling you, these are the other culprits that are part of this issue in this system, right? And one of them is insurance. Your insurance may be great in the sense that it helps you get what you need because it's the one who is going to determine rates for things. It's going to determine what is covered. Yes, we'll cover an MRI, and, but we're going to cover it at this percent, like all of that kind of stuff, right? But you also have to understand that you have to work within the confines of whatever that insurance says. It says, yes, we'll cover an MRI, but you have to see this doctor first. Then you have to do x rays. Then you have to do physical therapy. And then we can get the MRI. I don't care what kind of symptoms you're having. You may just have to kind of continue to deal with it, but you have to go through these steps. So you have to understand that you're working through that. The other thing that you're probably seeing is that you're seeing an increase in like your premiums, right? Like this year has been one of the biggest jumps in premiums for a lot of people. A lot of businesses have been trying to figure out how can I still provide insurance for my employees but not go bankrupt because it's gotten sky high. But because those premiums go up, did your level of care change? Probably not. Probably got worse because I know a lot of people whose premiums went up, but then they started losing some of their other benefits. Oh, they don't even cover this anymore. Oh, they don't cover that anymore. So we're starting to notice that. The other one, so we have insurance. The second entity that we have to be concerned about is corporate medicine. And what I mean by corporate medicine is like these huge hospital systems, right? You probably have like this main hospital system in your town and they own like all of, they have the hospital, they have imaging, they have this and that, right? There are some that are in several states. And so we're starting to see a lot of those that are popping up and they're taking over some of these other smaller hospitals and they're taking over. There are even some businesses, some companies that are getting together and they're buying hospital systems and they're saying, okay, and we're going to make them for profit because that means that medicine must be a business, right? Someone told me that they got charged $20 for a Tylenol. We know how much a regular Tylenol costs. It's not $20, but you can see how these different things are changing. People are like, that's ridiculous, right? But those are the things that we are seeing. So those are the people who are really telling us how much things are costing or going to cost and what the coverage and stuff is going to be. So I started thinking, and a lot of these other doctors that I know started thinking, like, how can we make this simple and affordable and like get to the meat of it, right? And that's where I come up with the term primary care ish. Because I've been wearing this shirt and people are like, oh, that's interesting. What does that mean? Because when I try to explain to people what I do, they can't quite figure it out. And so I say, you know what? It's primary care ish. It's like primary care, but it's a little bit different. And this is what I mean. The whole basis and what I do is very similar to primary care. I offer the same level of services. I still do your physical exams. I still can write prescriptions, all that stuff. Because people thought, oh, she must can't do that stuff. No, I can. I can still do all of those things, but better. Like it's possible, but I do all those things but better. And I'm not, again, the only doctor who does this. It is called direct primary care. That's the whole model of it. And it is essentially direct care to you. So instead of having the middleman like insurance or these corporate people telling us what to do, how to do all this stuff, it is directly to you. What is it that you need, and we can discuss it, and we don't have anybody else in the middle who tell us what we can and cannot do. Simply, that's what it's saying. That means appointments that start on time, right? Because I know the issue is I go to that doctor's office. You guys make it seem like your time is better than my time. And I'm sitting in there for 30, 45 minutes. And then they pull me back. And then I sit in the room for another 30, 45 minutes. And I feel like I have to take a whole day off from work, right? Some of that is due to some of the other things in scheduling. But here, We don't double book, we don't overbook, we don't do that. We want to focus on you. So appointments that start on time, appointments that are longer, 30 to 60 minutes. Now, this one I'm gonna try to do a little math because I always talk about the math ain't mathing, right? And you guys know I be struggling with math. But this is the thing. Let's say the average doctor's visit is about 15 minutes. We're going to just round it out 15 minutes. So if you do an hour with me, that's 15, 15, that's 30. That's 15, 15, that's 30. That's an hour. That's 4 visits. So one visit with me, 1 hour long visit with me is like 4 visits with that other provider, right? So you get a chance to just come one time to take care of 4 visits. So in that sense, it has kind of already taken care of itself because that how much is it going to cost to go to the doctor 4 different times? Not only in terms of money, but let's think about time, right? How much time is it going to take out of your day to go to the doctor 4 different times versus you go one time, you sit down for that hour uninterrupted, tell them the things that you need to tell them, and then they kind of help you figure it out, right? What that does is not only does it give you an ability to get comfortable and talk to your doctor and say, this is what's happening, this is how it happened, and blah, blah, blah. But then you also start developing a relationship, but also a partnership because a doctor patient relationship is one of the most sacred relationships you will ever have. I have people who will tell me things that they will not tell their significant other. They will not tell other family members because they're just not ready yet. And I respect that. But so that's why I understand that relationship can be very intimate. And so you want to be with somebody that you can trust and know that they're going to keep your information and take care of it the way that you need to. So it's going to build all of that. The other thing that this model adds is like increased access. So you get a chance to text your doctor directly, you have emails, you are able to do video visits, all that stuff. What does that do? You get a chance, if you got a question, I need an answer to it, right? I need to understand what's happening. So you get a chance to do it. You don't have to worry about being charged. And some people say, well, I have my chart and I don't get charged. Let me tell you, you're going to start getting charged at some point because it has already started in a couple of states. They are charging for those my chart visits because they are now considering them visits because of all the things that people are asking in them. They are starting to seem like visits. And so they're saying you either going to have to come in for us to address it and do a visit, or if we answer it, you may be charged. Right. So understand that. But that's included. We don't charge for that. And so you don't have to worry about, oh, if I send this message, am I going to be charged for that? You just send it. Hey, I got this and this is what happened. What should I do? And then you get better faster, right? And then let's just talk about cost because at the end of the day, it's about dollars and cents. Transparent pricing. Like I said, I've had surprise bills and they don't feel good when you get them because you're like, oh, I thought my insurance covered this, or I thought it covered it better than this, or I didn't know it was going to cost this much, whatever, right? Whereas any given moment, I can tell someone, they can call me up and they say, well, how much is it for a CBC? It's $3. How much is it for an A1C? $3.50. How much is it for cholesterol? Like I can tell you exactly how much things are going to cost beforehand. Whereas if we do it through your insurance, we write it out, we send it, and then you wait for maybe a month or a few weeks, and then you get a bill in the mail that says that they covered X, Y, and Z or they did not. Right in that moment, I can tell you how much it is going to cost. So that transparency also helps you to be able to budget and figure out, okay, what do I need, what I don't need, and all that kind of stuff. And you feel a lot better about it. And not only do I know the pricing of labs, I know the prices of the images. So how much is it going to cost for an x-ray? How much is it going to cost for an MRI? Having the peace of mind of knowing how much something is and knowing how you're going to be able to budget for it, like really is a game changer. And all of this at the end of the day leads to better outcomes. And what I mean by that is like better health. You're gonna feel better quicker. If you can get on the phone and call your doctor, text your doctor, do a video visit. Hey, I'm not feeling well. Someone told me that they had been exposed to some people who were sick and now they were starting to feel sick. What do I do? Okay, these are the steps. And you're going to take this and you're going to do that. And if it doesn't clear up, then these are the next steps. And then, so now you have a plan. I'm telling you, I feel better when I have a plan, when I know where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. I feel so much better. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good now, right? It also helps with your overall health, blood pressure. A lot of people come to me, they don't want to take medicine. So we're starting to see blood pressures come down because you sit down, we talk for an hour, we figure out what is the cause of your blood pressure in the first place. Is it something that we have to take medicine for, or is it some lifestyle things that we need to do? We talk about that. Diabetes being reversed, being able to work with someone one on one and saying, hey, okay, this is what's going on. This is what I'm eating. This is the things that, so what else should I change? What else should I do? So that way we can get a better handle on it so it doesn't continue to get out of control. Like, how do we make this make sense? So those are the things that we are noticing because you have that time, because you have that relationship, because you kind of know like what's happening. And so everybody's like, well, what's the catch? Like, I need to know, like, what's the catch? Because I know there's a catch. And there really isn't one. It's all done under a membership. It's all done under a membership. So just like you have your Netflix or your Costco, it works essentially the same way. As members of those, you have certain benefits. Members of our practice, you have certain benefits. And like I said, you have your primary care that's taken care of, so you're never charged for an office visit. You have access to those discounted labs and imaging. All of those different things have the increased access to your doctor, those long doctor visits. And like I said, one visit with me, that 1 hour long visit, is like 4 visits with your primary doctor. So you end up saving money. So I used to tell people, if you see me 4 times, it has paid for itself. But honestly, if you see me twice, it has paid for itself, because that's like 8 visits that you would have had with another provider. And we know how much that would have added itself up to, right? So when you think about that, it really does kind of start paying for itself. And then when they say, like, but I have insurance, I'm like, that is great. You can keep your insurance, and we show you how to maximize your insurance benefits with this as well. So you're still able to use those insurance benefits for labs and for imaging and for the hospital stays if you have to. But our job is try to prevent you from having to do any of that stuff. But you can still do that. And there are people that have insurance and we're saving them money. Even though they have insurance, they are still seeing how we're saving them money. For instance, like I said, you can use it for your labs, but then someone used it for their labs and then they're like, oh my gosh, this was really expensive. How much would have been if I done it to you with you? I told them how much it was going to be. And this is what happened. How much it would have cost them to go through their insurance. When they did it through me, this is the savings. They were able to pay for a month of membership, pay for those labs, and have a nice amount left over for a nice lunch. And I'm not talking about like a McDonald's or Wendy's. I like going to those places, but I'm talking about like a really nice sit down lunch. Okay. So they had insurance, but we still saved them some money. So it is possible. It is definitely possible to be able to do healthcare differently, to be able to enjoy going to the doctor, not always like dreading it and like, oh my gosh, to be able to save some money and to be well. I like to see my people when they have other things going on, but I definitely like to see them well because I want to keep them well. So if this is something that is of interest to you, definitely check us out. I have my information listed down below. It is www.healing, B as in boy, TS, primarycare.com or pc.com. And then you can also find me on all social media, Dr. Ashley A. Booth, MD. If there's some other topics that you would like for me to be able to cover, let me know, because there's all these different things that people are not aware of. And I'm like, oh, let's talk about it. So I want to make sure that you are well. And like I said, if you are not in the Georgia or South Carolina area, because that is where we are licensed, if you are not there, that's perfectly fine. Still, let the people know what's happening over here. Let them know that that may still be an option in their area and they can look it up. And then you can still follow along and watch the videos and share, because we definitely appreciate it. But until next time, I will see you soon. I'm wishing you much healing and take care.